Fresh fighting in Myanmar has once again triggered the flow of refugees into Mizoram. Such alarming is the situation that around 700 to 800 refugees have crossed over to Zokhawthar village in the state's Champhai district in the last 48 hours. The fresh influx comes after Myanmar Army bombed People's Democratic Front bases at Khawmawi town in the Chin state of Myanmar yesterday. As per reports, Myanmar Army jets dropped 2 rounds of bombs at a village in Khawmawi, which is just across Zokhawthar village on the Indian side of the border. Gunfight is still going on close to the India-Myanmar border, and as such, residents of Zokhawthar village have been advised to stay indoors. The gunfight between the junta's army and the PDF, which is the armed wing of Myanmar's national unity government, has led to hundreds of refugees fleeing in border villages of Mizoram. As per sources, the Assam Rifles is closely monitoring the situation. It may be noted here that Zokhawthar in Champhai has seen the entry of over 5,000 Myanmar refugees since February 2021, and the number is only increasing.
Wow! Wow! 𝗙𝗲𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 𝗀𝗏𝗪𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀
Zan khua in anin kap toa tukin tlangin hay andarin sa Khawmai.
All right, so fresh fighting in Myanmar has once again triggered the flow of refugees into Mizoram, and such alarming is the situation that around 700 to 800 refugees have crossed over to Zokhawthar village in the state's Champhai district in the last 48 hours. And the fresh influx comes after Myanmar Army bombed People's Democratic Front bases at Khawmawi town in the Chin state of Myanmar yesterday. As per reports, Myanmar Army jets dropped 2 rounds of bombs at a village in Khawmawi, which is just across Zokhawthar village on the Indian side of the border. Gunfight is still going on close to the India-Myanmar border, and as such, residents of Zokhawthar village have been advised to stay indoors. The gunfight between the junta's army and the PDF, which is the armed wing of Myanmar's national unity government, has led to hundreds of refugees fleeing to border villages of Mizoram. And as per sources, the Assam Rifles is closely monitoring the situation. It may be noted here that Zokhawthar in Champhai has seen the entry of over 5,000 Myanmar refugees since February 2021, and the number is only increasing.
Wow! Wow! 𝗙𝗏𝗡𝗢𝗙𝗀𝗧𝗏 𝗂𝗏𝗡𝗢𝗙𝗧𝗏
Zan khua in anin kap toa tukin tlangin hay andarin sa Khawmai.
And staying with this big developing story from Myanmar in our section Neighborhood Watch. A heavily armed rebel alliance in Myanmar fighting the military junta has achieved a huge success when it captured a strategic town on the Chinese border, disrupting trade between the two neighbors. Observers describe the capture of the trade hub of 𝗀𝗡𝗄, which borders China's Yunnan province, as the biggest challenge Myanmar's military junta has faced since overthrowing the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi in February 2021. The situation is so grave that Myanmar's President Min Siu said earlier this month that the gains achieved by the ethnic rebel alliance along the border with China has the potential to break the nation. On Friday, the United Nations said an estimated 50,000 people could have been displaced by the latest round of fighting that began 2 weeks ago. As of 9 November, almost 50,000 people in northern Shan were forced into displacement, the UN update stated. 𝗀𝗡𝗄, currently under rebel control, accounts for more than 2/5 of the $5.32 billion worth of border trade between Myanmar and China between April and November this year, Myanmar Commerce Ministry estimates say. If the Three Brotherhood Alliance is challenging the Myanmar military big time in the northern Shan state, leading to the displacement of 500,000 people, a further 40,000 people have been displaced by clashes between the junta and its opponents in the neighboring Sagaing region and Kachin state since early November, an UN agency said. The impact of this fighting between the military junta and the rebel alliance, as well as civilian armies that have sprung up like the People's Defence Force, have been felt in India's northeast. In Mizoram, there are already an estimated 40,000 refugees from Myanmar. During the last 48 hours, around 700 to 800 Myanmar refugees have entered Mizoram in what is seen as a fresh round of influx following the intensification of the fighting in Myanmar. The northeast Indian states of Mizoram, Nagaland, Manipur and Arunachal Pradesh shares more than 1,600 long border with Myanmar, of which Mizoram, where the bulk of the refugees are taking shelter, shares a 510-kilometer long border. All right, our editor-in-chief, 𝗀𝗶𝗴𝗵 Hussain, joins us over the phone line. Well, 𝗀𝗶𝗵, a huge influx once again into Mizoram following fresh fighting in neighboring Myanmar. So what is the current situation like in Myanmar, and is this crisis likely to escalate further?
Yes, Pooja, there are multiple developments taking place in Myanmar. But first, to the breaking story at this point in time as we speak. Top Assam Rifles sources have said that Assam Rifles has reinforced its troops in Mizoram along the border with Myanmar. Additional Assam Rifles columns have been deployed in view of the fighting that has intensified across the border in the Chin state of Myanmar. As I said, there are multiple developments taking place, but let us first focus on the situation just across Myanmar. Just across Myanmar is the Chin state. Let's first focus on the situation just across Mizoram, that is the Chin state of Myanmar. Now, there the fighting is between several of the resistance forces, in particularly the People's Defence Force, which is the armed wing, as we have said, of the National Unity Government, that is the opposition government that was ousted by the military coup in February 2021. Now, this intensification of violence has led to the Myanmarese fighter jets bombing some of the villages, and which they say are PDF strongholds. Whether or not they are PDF strongholds is difficult to say, but it is a fact that the Myanmarese Air Force has dropped bombs, has bombed some of the villages, which they say are PDF strongholds, and that has triggered the fresh influx of refugees into Mizoram, around 800 of them during the last 48 hours. now the breaking story, as we have said, is that Assam Rifles is reinforcing its troops along the border, along the Mizoram-Myanmar border. Additional Assam Rifles columns have been deployed. And Assam Rifles personnel are also talking to the village chiefs in the Zokhawthar and other areas in Champhai district. They have been talking to the village chief, and they have been advising the people to mostly remain indoors and on how to deal in the event of this crisis. Now, this is what is going on as far as the Mizoram-Myanmar border. But the big story is that in the overall Myanmar context is that a three-member rebel alliance comprising of three ethnic rebel armies during the last 15 days, they have stormed over 100 military outposts. They have seized control of towns. And this has been the junta, the military junta. This has been weakest. The military junta has been weakest now ever since the February 2021 coup. Now, as I said, the Three Brotherhood Alliance, comprising the three ethnic rebel armies, they have launched a coordinated offensive in the eastern Shan state bordering China. And as we have shown those visuals, the visuals on the screen, which is courtesy Mizoram TV, this is just 2 kilometers short of the border with China. This has been released by Mizoram TV about 3 to 4 hours ago. And we are putting it courtesy Mizoram television. They have put out this video. They've claimed that this video has been put out 2 to 3 hours ago, but they're saying that these are videos of earlier this month of the resistance, the fighters, the rebels fighting the military, that is the junta, and this location is just about 2 kilometers short of the border with China. So these are the visuals on your screen. Now the rebel alliance of three ethnic rebel armies. They've stormed 100 outposts. They've seized control of the towns, and this has demonstrated that the military junta has been the weakest since February 2021. According to the United Nations, 50,000 people have been displaced from the eastern Shan state, and some of them have also crossed over into China. So that is the situation. That China has reacted. On Friday, the Chinese Foreign Ministry said that Beijing has been ensuring security and stability at its border on its side, and has been telling Myanmar to crack down on these forces who are engaged in a revolt. Now, what is significant is that the Three Brotherhood Alliance that has almost overrun 100 military posts in Myanmar, they have taken control of key border crossings that accounts for 40% of cross-border trade. 40% of cross-border trade. That is something which is absolutely surprising. The military has not been able to control them. They have been totally overrun. So as we have been saying, 50,000 people have been displaced from the eastern Shan state, where even now there has been artillery shelling and airstrikes continuing. And as we have said, some of these people the refugees have crossed over into China. The Rebel Alliance call it Operation 1027. 1027. Operation 1027 is the code name that the opposition rebel alliance has given to this highly coordinated offensive against the Myanmar military. Now, sources are telling that the opponents to the Myanmar military have prepared for this assault for several months. For several months, they have been preparing for this assault. And the junta is weak because they are facing foreign exchange shortage, they are facing economic sanctions, and there is huge corruption allegations that the military junta has been saying. In fact, the situation is so grave that the Myanmar president who has taken over after the coup in February 2021, has been quoted as saying in the media that if this situation continues, it has the potential to break Myanmar. It has the potential to break. This is a massive, big statement of fear that has come, and fear and apprehension expressed by none other than the Myanmar president. So this is absolutely unprecedented, where the Myanmar's president has said that if the situation continues, it has the potential to break the nation into two. Now, as we speak, a couple of hours ago, a fighter jet crashed in the 𝗂𝗏 state bordering Thailand. This is also a breaking story. A fighter jet of the Myanmar military establishment crashed in the 𝗂𝗏 region. The 𝗂𝗏 state is a state in Myanmar that borders Thailand. Now, the Karenni National Defense Force, the KNDF, which is one of the rebel groups which is opposed to the military junta, has claimed that it has shot down the plane. It has shot down the plane. In fact, the leadership of the KNDF have also applauded and congratulated the fighters for bringing down this Myanmar military plane. But a state-run news agency has said that the plane crashed because of a technical snag and that both the pilots had ejected to safety. And in fact, Mizoram News earlier today had posted images of what it said were the abandoned helmet and parachute of the pilots. Now, see, in this kind of a situation, it's very difficult to ascertain facts. But this is a matter of concern for both for India because the events are happening right on the border with India as far as Mizoram is concerned. That is one part of the story. The other big fighting, as I said, the Three Rebel Alliance is fighting along the border with China. Now, this coordinated strike by the Three Brotherhood Alliance has emboldened groups like the People's Democratic Force, People's Defense Force, fighting along the border with India on the Myanmar side. They've emboldened such resistance groups to fight, to intensify their fight. And that is when the Myanmar military jets bombed locations just across Zokhawthar village in Champhai district of Mizoram in the last 24 to 48 hours. Leading to about 800 people fleeing and entering India as refugees. Now, there are already about 30,000 or to 40,000 Myanmar refugees in Mizoram, which has been taken care of by various non-governmental organizations and civil society organizations because the 𝗀𝗏𝗧𝗏 group and the Mizo group belongs to the same ethnic stock and they have ethnic affinities. That's the reason why on humanitarian grounds, the civil society and the people, including the government, have been helping these refugees, etc. But this is the biggest challenge faced by the Myanmar military junta ever since the coup in February 2021 when they ousted the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. Pooja.
All right. Now, the action has intensified just across the international border in Mizoram. So the Indian security agencies would be closely monitoring things.
Absolutely. Not only they are monitoring things, as I've said, as the breaking story, that Assam Rifles have deployed additional columns along the border with Myanmar, keeping close watch on the situation. The additional Assam Rifles column that has been confirmed to Northeast Live by top defense sources that the Assam Rifles has put up additional columns along the border with Myanmar. The Assam Rifles officials are also talking to the villagers on the Indian side, cautioning them, asking them to stay alert, to stay indoors, and generally monitoring the situation. So this is a big development. This is the biggest fighting that Myanmar has witnessed in recent years, where all the rebel armies opposed to the military junta have combined together. It's not just the Three Brotherhood Alliance, but there are others also who have been emboldened by the assault, by the coordinated assault unleashed by the Three Brotherhood Alliance in the northern Shan state, where they have stormed 100 military outposts and seized control of several towns, including a key border crossing point that accounts for about 40% of the cross-border trade. So the Myanmar already is having a serious foreign exchange crunch, and they're facing economic sanctions, etc. And there's corruption rampant in Myanmar. So in view of this situation, the Myanmar military is having to battle on several fronts at this point in time because the entire country almost is under siege and in sort of a conflict with the junta versus the resistance forces.
All right. Thank you, 𝗏𝗡𝗡, for giving us all those details.